It's the 80s. Stay away from some haunted mausoleums. Otherwise, Raymar, the psychic energy vampire, will get you. Do. Do a lot of coke, don't vote for Ronald Reagan. Do you get that reference? Well, let's get to the show now, shall we? I'm John Renton with the Retro View of One Dark Night, the original title of that 98 Degrees song. If you get that, you're as old as me. And if you don't, she's too young for you, bro. Anyway, if you have seen this movie, please let me know your thoughts in the comments, please. This is going to be full of spoilers because the movie is just over 40 years old. So it was directed by Tom McLaughlin, who did Amazing Stories and also Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, which certainly was an interesting one. And the second unit directing was done by Michael Schroeder, who did Out of the Dark, and that is a retro review I recently did. I'm deciding to dive into just some obscure shit, and this is on Amazon Prime, at least as of right now, and I decided to give it a shot. So Tom also helped write it, and Michael Hawes helped write it as well. So we have Meg Tilly as Julie, who wants to get into a sisterhood consisting of three people. It's an initiation at a high school, at a college, possibly at a school for wayward actors that don't know when to fucking quit. Because me, oh my, down on the fucking vampiric bayou, while there is some talent in this cast, this features some of the worst line reading and worst acting I have seen in an 80s movie with a decent budget. The budget was $978,000, which in today's dollars would be $3.1 million. Or thereabouts. So that's a sizable amount of money. I mean, I don't even think a couple of the Jason movies got that. That's almost, what, 3 times as much as what Halloween got? And boy, Halloween certainly looked better. Now, to be fair, Halloween had to use a few tricks, and this does try to go for some bonkers shit later on. And it does have a crazy premise, because yes, you do have an initiation going on at a haunted mausoleum, and apparently Meg Tilly was very, very freaked out by the mausoleum, so a lot of her reactions were legit. That's good. Scar your actors. Good thing no other 80s horror movies did that. Oh, the late Shelley Duvall in The Shining. So, we do have Melissa Newman. We have Robin Evans. We have Leslie Spites, or however the hell you say that. Donald Houghton, who is a guy named Doc Stater. I don't know why that name made me laugh. He was in the China Syndrome, in case you recognize the name but can't quite place. Elizabeth Daly was in this. Leo Gorcey Jr. as well as Adam West. I'll just go lower. I'll come out when they're gone. So nevertheless, yeah, basically Adam West has a supporting role here. This wasn't the worst horror movie that he was involved in the 80s. That would be Zombie Nightmare, even though there was potential with that one. So, yeah, we start off in a one dark blue filtered night. Good grief. The camera must have been plucked from the goddamn late 60s, early 70s. And yeah, I know that they probably had to work with whatever, lighting they had and, budgetary constraints. But they still, again, had nearly $1 million. And this wasn't a lot of big name talent for the time. It did feature some good practical effects, let me say that. But the 80s, back when, everything, just featured a mausoleum within driving distance. I don't know what city this was supposed to take place in. It seemed to be taking place in about 3 cities, because geography and building structure and everything would just change from, shot to shot. So, basically, we see a bunch of coroners show up. It's like a fleet of coroners. I guess every town was able to have a fleet of coroners just show up all of a sudden. There's a bunch of West Side Story extras just standing up there and everything, wondering what the hell's going on. And then the police and paramedics investigate and find out, oh shit, there's all this silverware and dishware lodged in the goddamn walls, and these girls are dead. Oh yes, and there's this old guy, these 6 old women, or 6 young women that are piled in this apartment, and also there's an old guy that we find out later is nicknamed Raymar. That's his last name. His first name is Carl. Raymar's funnier. It's like if Rygar had a stupider name. I'm just going deep on the goddamn 80s references. They remade the Rygar game for PS2, and it featured gorgeous graphics and about the same 3 enemies. I remember playing that. Now, to be fair, There were some decent moments in this. Unfortunately, they were all stamped out by the fact that this acting is absolutely terrible. Terrible line reading. Some of the worst narrative I've fucking seen. A decent idea. Okay, basically Raymar harnessed the ability to have electromagnetic energy and feast basically off of the living people. He basically could draw their energy out through fear and harness it, but since he used it as a tool of hate, it ended up backfiring on him essentially. But he's not actually dead, because otherwise we wouldn't have much of a movie. He's buried and encrypted in this tomb. His daughter Olivia studies up on his stuff after Bebop and Rockstetter show up, and he talks to him about the research and, oh yeah, this stuff that went on with your dad. By the way, all this stuff that she listens to on tape, it turns out that the kids of any of these people could actually have these abilities. So guess what Olivia tries to do later? She doesn't do anything. Actually, doesn't do anything for most of the goddamn movie. This movie is simultaneously busy, yet also so goddamn stretched out, it's almost remarkable. And again, it's so messy. I don't know if there's a director's cut out there that makes sense, but arcade games, that was kind of funny. Just looking back on those, before the video game crash that Atari caused. Good job, Atari, you assholes. I'm glad the Jaguar fucking failed. And that the Lynx failed. I think it was the Atari Lynx. Nevertheless, let's get back and out of video game stuff. So, the acting is absolute dog shit. It's not that the actors are dog shit, it's that the acting is dog shit. Basically, Julie wants to prove herself and get into this sorority club thing. It's like the Purple Ladies. There's one called Kitty, played by Leslie, that has a toothbrush that she's always chewing on. Whatever. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. It's fine. There's this talk of bioenergy, psychic vampires, sucking the energy out of people. The cameras, this really looks like it could have been, for the most part, in the early 70s. Like, that's how old this movie looks. I don't know if it's a bad print. I don't know what the fuck. There is a line, actually, that said, and a couple of the words are nerdle brain. Apparently a 5-year-old wrote this. Or an idiot. I'm going with either. And there were a lot of idiots to choose from here. So, stay the night in the Mausoleum. Oh yeah, we're going to give you this sleeping pill, which is actually Demerol. And if you read up on Demerol and find out what it does. So, Raymar is trying to bust out, basically, because he ain't dead yet. I'm not finished with you, world. Payphones. I remember payphones. There's a guy, Steve, who's a boyfriend. Used to be the boyfriend of basically, what the fuck was her name? Leslie. You know, it's funny. They actually had a character named Leslie, and then they had an actress named Leslie. That must have been confusing. Leslie, we need you on set. No, not you playing Leslie. We need the actual Leslie. But I'm Kitty. Yeah, whatever. Get over here, both of you. I don't care. I could imagine that got confusing. A lot of stuff just bops back and forth, and nothing really happens. We do have this one sorority sister, group sister, Carol. It doesn't want to be part of it after finding out that Demerol was something that they gave her. Meanwhile, Julie's starting to freak out. And Kitty hurt her ankle when they tried to sneak, when her and Leslie tried to sneak. When Leslie and Leslie tried to sneak, it sounds like a freaking buddy cop drama. Tried to sneak into the goddamn place. She drops maybe a few feet and hurts her ankle. Not from tripping over headstones, none of that stuff. Oh yes, and it was actually kind of funny that earlier in the movie, we had a view through the mausoleum, and it was just doing this. Apparently, a ground squirrel stole the camera. That explains why the filter was so fucked up. He got it dirty. So, Olivia feels that she might have some kind of abilities, but she's trying to basically, he's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Meanwhile, Steve to the rescue. He is trying to figure out where his girlfriend is, even though he used to date Leslie. So these girls are pranking Julie, but then these pranks turn sinister when Raymar, the magnificent psychic vampire, comes back to life. And then, yes, eventually, stuff happens where it cracks enough, and his energy starts surging. Brr, brr, brr. It's a very annoying sound, actually. It's not even like a good kind of annoying. It's just like, okay, we heard it, and we're going to keep hearing this. You couldn't have come up with a less annoying ambient noise? But that being said, Bodies start coming back to life, and the dead are shuffling their feet. Might as well just throw references in here because this movie, despite the fact it tries to have a bonkers ending, has almost no goddamn material. This is a punishing 88 minutes long, with barely enough material to cover 50 minutes of that. So, eventually Raymar does come back. We get the lightning shooting out from his eyes. And the bodies are just, kind of, gliding like the nun in Blues Brothers right towards them. And they can't get out of the way. No, you can't do that. I know they're down a hallway. I know they're stupid characters. But really, you couldn't get out of the goddamn way? Suddenly, Olivia shows up. So, Leslie and Leslie are both dead, seemingly. They were covered by the dead, just, in a human centipede of orgy of the dead. And then, Julie ain't doing all that well. Steve got knocked out somehow. Olivia then comes back, and her dad's like trying to get Julie to suck out her energy. I guess Steve's energy isn't good enough for you, is it, Raymar? And then the daughter shows us, like, I don't know if it's like one of those makeup powder things or what, but she does this to kind of show him, here's what you are. It's like Hadouken, and causes, like, him to melt. His energy melts him because movie? So anyway, yeah, basically Olivia does that, and that ends, and Steve's going to be all right. Olivia found her ability to not have fear for her dad, who never had much contact with her, maybe because she would become more powerful than he ever could, and he knew that, and whatever. One Dark Knight has an interesting concept, but it's just so tonally inconsistent and really, really bad overall that even with the decent practical effects and the halfway kooky idea, none of it is fully realized and fleshed out to the point that I can forgive the terrible acting, the terrible camera work, and just the shit writing and just the overall shit presentation of the fact that this movie looks 10 years older than its release date. So, yeah, nevertheless, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.